Alex hadn't planned on living much longer. The 4 credits in his account, all that remained of a 30-year career as humanity's most efficient problem solver, had bought him exactly what he wanted. A derelict cargo hauler floating in the salvage yards of Kepler Station. The Morning Star was a tomb waiting to happen. Her hull breached in 3 places, life support hanging by failing circuits, and fuel tanks bone dry. Perfect. He'd boarded through the emergency airlock with nothing but his pressure suit and a bottle of Ganymede whiskey. The plan was simple. Drink until the oxygen ran out, then let the void take what was left of him. After Johannesburg, after the children he'd been ordered to eliminate to prevent future complications, after watching the light fade from eyes too young to understand betrayal, he deserved nothing less. The ship's interior was darker than he'd expected, his helmet lamp cutting narrow paths through the darkness. Frost clung to the walls like crystallized regret. He made his way to what he assumed was the bridge, each step echoing in the hollow skeleton of the vessel. Then he heard it. Breathing. Deep, rhythmic, and decidedly not mechanical. Alex's hand went instinctively to his hip, where his plasma pistol had once lived. He'd sold it 3 stations ago. Slowly he moved toward the sound, his lamp revealing a cargo bay that shouldn't have been pressurized but somehow was. 2 figures lay curled together in the center of the bay, and Alex's breath caught. They were Draconi, dragon-like aliens from the Scutum Centaurus arm, their kind rarely seen this far into human space. But these weren't the massive, void-faring warriors from the propaganda feeds. These were juveniles, their scales dull with malnutrition, their wings, magnificent even in this state, wrapped around each other for warmth. The larger one's eyes snapped open, brilliant amber cutting through the darkness. She positioned herself between Alex and the smaller dragon, a hiss emanating from her throat. "Peace," Alex said reflexively, raising his hands despite the absurdity. I didn't know anyone was here. "This vessel belongs to us," the larger dragon said, her voice a melodic rumble, her translator implant glitching with each word. "We claimed it by salvage rights." "Leave, human." Alex should have left. Should have found another ship, another tomb. Instead, he asked, "How long have you been here?" The dragon's defensive posture didn't waver. 63 cycles. "We have sufficient supplies." It was a lie. Alex had spent decades reading lies in the moment before pulling triggers. He looked past her to the smaller dragon whose ribs showed through her pale blue scales, whose eyes remained closed though she was clearly conscious. "Your sister is dying," he stated flatly. The larger dragon's facade cracked. "We will survive. We always do." "No," Alex said, lowering his hands. "You won't. Not without proper nutrition, medical supplies, and fuel to power more than basic life support. We have no credits, no accounts, no rights in this sector." The dragon's voice carried the weight of exhausted desperation. When the sovereignty fell, all Draconi assets were frozen. "We cannot work, cannot trade, cannot—" She stopped, her translator crackling. "Why do I explain this to you? Leave us to our fate, assassin." "I smell the death on you," Alex flinched. "How did you—" "Your kind carries it differently than others. In your stance, your eyes, the way you moved when you thought yourself threatened." Her amber eyes narrowed. "You came here to die, didn't you?" For a long moment, Alex said nothing. Then, "Yes." Then do so quietly. "My sister Elsa, she needs rest." The name hit him like a bullet. Elsa. He'd known an Elsa once before the black sites and the wet work. She'd wanted to be a teacher. Alex looked at the dying dragon, at her sister standing guard despite her own weakness, and made a decision that surprised him more than it probably should have. "I have 4 credits," he said. The dragon laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Generous. That might buy us another week of atmospheric processors. And I have something else." Alex reached into his pressure suit and withdrew a data chip. 30 years of contacts, smuggling routes, and favors owed by people in very dark places. Plus complete schematics of this ship. The Morning Star was a military vessel before she was decommissioned. Hidden compartments, weapon systems, everything. The dragon named stood straighter. "Why would you give us this?" "Because," Alex said, his voice rough, "I was going to die a monster. Maybe I can die as something else. You could use this information yourself. Rebuild your life." He shook his head. "Some things can't be rebuilt. But you two, you're young. You have a chance." The dragon studied him for a long moment. "I am Sarah," she finally said. The ship has a medical bay, third deck, starboard. If you can reach it, there are Draconi supplements in storage locker 7. The access code is... She rattled off a sequence. Alex memorized it instantly. The fuel? Stolen. We've been siphoning trace amounts from passing ships. Not enough to fly, but enough to keep Elsa breathing. There's a fence on Station Tau 9, Alex said, his mind already working through logistics he'd thought he'd never use again. Owes me for a job I never reported. He'll fuel this ship, no questions, if I invoke marker 47 Delta. And when your whiskey runs out? When the oxygen fails? Alex looked at the smaller dragon, at Elsa's labored breathing, and felt something crack inside his chest, something that had calcified around his heart years ago. Then I'll make sure you two are light years away from here first, he said. Navigation needs repairs. Life support needs a complete overhaul. Weapon systems need to be reactivated. Should take about 3 weeks. Sarah's eyes gleamed. You would do this? I've taken enough from the universe, Alex said quietly. Time to give something back. He didn't believe in redemption. Didn't believe 3 weeks of good deeds could balance 30 years of blood. But as he headed toward the medical bay, leaving his bottle of whiskey behind, Alex discovered something unexpected. He didn't want to die today. Not yet. Not until the Morning Star flew again, carrying 2 dragon sisters toward whatever future they could forge from the wreckage of empires, human and alien alike. Behind him, in the cargo bay, Sarah wrapped her wings more tightly around Elsa and whispered, "Thank you, human." Alex didn't respond. Assassins didn't say you're welcome, but perhaps he thought former assassins could learn.